The Free Thinker Show. Ignite your mind, challenge the norm.
Okay, so you know that YouTube video you sent, the one by Kanto Bento,
Yeah.
about the Bangladesh bank heist? Wild story, right?
Absolutely like something out of a movie.
$1 billion, almost gone.
Hard to even fathom.
Yeah, so we're diving into that, the Bangladesh bank heist of 2016.
Right, let's unpack it.
We're going to break it all down, who, how, and what it all means.
It's a big one, for sure.
What makes this heist so crazy, I mean, besides the money, is that it wasn't just some random bank. It was the Bangladesh bank.
The central bank.
Exactly, their national bank. You don't hear about that every day.
No, not at all. Shows you how vulnerable really anyone can be in this digital age.
No kidding.
Yeah.
So picture this. February 2016, we're in Dhaka, Bangladesh. Busy city, one of the fastest growing economies
A
around.
bustling place.
But behind the scenes, this cyber heist, all meticulously planned out, is about to go down.
And they almost got away with it, too.
It's crazy. And get this, the groundwork for all this. It was actually laid months earlier.
Yep.
Yeah, May 2015, halfway across the world in the Philippines. Seems totally random.
Okay, I'm intrigued. What happened in the Philippines?
So a bunch of guys, they just walk into a bank, a branch of the RCBC bank, open up 4 accounts.
All right, pretty normal so far.
Right. But here's the thing. Each account, they only put $500 in each.
$500 doesn't seem like much to get a whole operation going.
Exactly. But this was key to the whole thing. Looking back, it's obvious, but at the time.
Totally mundane.
Exactly. So fast forward to January 2016, back in Bangladesh.
Yeah.
Bank employee, just doing their job, checking emails, right?
Happens to the best of us.
Right. But lurking in their inbox, bam, a malicious email. And this wasn't just any spam. This email had malware, bad news malware.
So that's how they got in.
Bingo. This malware, it was sneaky, like a digital thief, just slipping past their security, giving the hackers a way in.
And I bet this malware, it was designed to do more than just open a door. Probably watched everything going on, learned the bank systems.
You got it. It was laying low, waiting for the right moment. And the hackers, they waited for the perfect time to strike when they knew they could take advantage of the whole international banking system.
Time zones, different banking holidays, all that.
Exactly. They were playing the long game. So it's Thursday evening in Bangladesh, weekend's coming up, right? Bangladesh, they do their weekends Friday and Saturday.
Okay, so everyone's winding down.
You got it. And that's when the hackers make their move. They've got those stolen logins, remember?
Yeah.
And they use them to send out fraudulent transfer requests through SWIFT.
SWIFT. That's the system, right, for moving money between banks internationally.
Exactly. Super secure system, but there's always a but.
Sure,
right?
there's always a catch.
Right. See, SWIFT itself might be tight, but it all comes down to the banks using it. That's where the weak link can be.
Gotcha. So the hackers weren't hacking SWIFT directly, they were hacking the bank.
You got it. They were impersonating actual bank employees. And they weren't messing around. They sent out 35 fraudulent transfer requests, all going through SWIFT.
35. Jeez, how much were they trying to get?
Hold on to your hats. They were trying to move $951 million.
You're kidding.
Yep. From the Bangladesh bank's account straight to.
Don't tell me, to those accounts in the Philippines.
Well, some of it, yeah. But they were also targeting banks all over Asia.
Smart. Spread it around, makes it harder to track.
And the big one, they were trying to get it into the Federal Reserve Bank of New York.
Wow, the New York Fed. Ambitious.
Right. Bangladesh Bank, they kept a huge chunk of their foreign currency there.
Makes sense, but risky.
That was the plan, anyway. To get that money moved out of the Fed and all these different accounts they'd set up.
Including those ones in the Philippines. They were playing the long game, setting the stage for months.
Months. And they timed it perfectly, with the weekends and all.
Mm-hmm.
Figured by the time anyone in Bangladesh noticed, the money would be long gone. Can you imagine thinking you'd pulled it off?
Yeah.
That you'd stolen $1 billion?
This felt pretty good for a minute there, right?
Right. But as they say, timing is everything.
Yeah.
And in this case, it wasn't all on their side.
Thankfully. Because, yeah, even with all that planning, things didn't go exactly according to plan.
Not at all. I mean, you'd think moving that much money, someone would notice, right?
You'd think. $1 billion? Gotta leave a trace. But the thing is, the global financial system, it's massive. Transactions happening every second.
Okay, so it's easy to get lost in the shuffle.
Yeah.
But still, $1 billion.
Even in a system that big, $1 billion stands out. And this is where it gets interesting, even a little lucky. See, the Federal Reserve, even though it's huge, it has systems in place. Flags, alerts, for suspicious stuff.
Makes sense. So what happened? Did something trip those alarms?
Oh, yeah. Of those 35 transfer requests the hackers sent out, 30 of them got flagged.
No way. 30 out of 35, that's what, almost all of it?
Close. We're talking $870 million worth that got flagged for manual review.
Ooh, okay, close call.
Yeah.
But why'd those ones get flagged? What tipped them off?
Well, the sheer amount, for one. But it wasn't just that. You see, one of the names on the transfer requests, it just so happened to match a company on a blacklist.
Wait, what? What blacklist?
The U.S. government, they keep lists of companies and individuals, considered off-limits for various reasons. This one was a shipping company, had a history of violating sanctions against Iran.
So completely unrelated to the heist.
Totally unrelated. Pure coincidence. But lucky coincidence, I guess you could say.
Wow, so what, some random blacklisted company saved the day? That's wild.
It really is. Goes to show, sometimes it's those little things, It's totally random match. It raised a red flag. And because of that, the New York Fed, they took a closer look at everything.
Smart. So what'd they see? What else looked fishy?
Well, for starters, the accounts they were trying to move the money to, they weren't banks. They were mostly private accounts, which is unusual for that amount of money.
Yeah, that would raise an eyebrow.
Right. So the Fed, they reach out to the Bangladesh bank, right? Just routine, to confirm, hey, did you guys actually authorize this? And luckily, by that time, the Bangladesh bank, they were already on to the hackers.
They'd figured it out on their own.
Yeah, they were already scrambling to try to stop the transfers.
Yeah, that was close.
Mm-hmm.
But hold on, if 30 of those transfers were stopped, what about the other 5?
Ah, yes. The ones that got away.
This is where it gets tricky.
And this is where those accounts in the Philippines come in, right?
You got it. So one of those remaining transfers, this one was for $20 million, was headed to an organization called the Shalika Foundation.
Never heard of it.
Right. Most people haven't. Anyway, this transfer, it ends up at a bank in Sri Lanka, Pan Asia Bank, I think it was.
Okay, and what happened?
Bank employee, just like you were saying earlier, just doing their job. They're going through these transfers. And something about this one, it catches their eye.
What was it? The amount?
The amount, for sure. But here's the thing. On the transfer request, the name of the organization, it was misspelled. No way. Seriously.
Seriously, spelled foundation instead of foundation.
Get out of here. A typo. A typo stopped them. You can't make this stuff up.
It's crazy, right? But that's what happened. The employee, they noticed the typo, noticed the amount, and they got suspicious. Put a hold on the transfer, alerted someone, and the money. It got sent back.
So they saved $20 million because of a spelling error.
That's right. But unfortunately, that was the only good news, because the other 4 transfers, the ones totaling $81 million, those went through.
And went straight to the Philippines.
Straight to those accounts at the RCBC bank. And once that money landed, well, it was gone. Withdrawn, converted, you name it.
So how do you even make that much money disappear? Where does it go?
That, my friend, is the magic of money laundering.
Money laundering, huh? So how does that work? Like you just walk into a casino with a duffel bag full of cash?
Well, it's a little more complicated than that. And in this case, it wasn't even physical cash at first, remember? It was all digital. But the casinos, they come in later in the process.
Okay, so walk me through it. How do you launder digital money?
Think of it like this. You've got dirty money, right? Stolen money. Can't exactly deposit that in your bank account.
Right.
So you got to clean it, make it look like it came from somewhere legit.
Right, got to make it squeaky clean. So how'd they do that with the Bangladesh bank money?
So they've got the money in those accounts in the Philippines, right?
Mm-hmm.
First thing they do, move it around. Lots of small transfers, different accounts, different countries, you name it. This is called layering.
Layering.
Sounds complicated.
It's all about making the money hard to follow, like creating a tangled web. By the time investigators catch up, it's nearly impossible to tell where the money came from or where it went.
Ah, so it's like creating a smokescreen.
Exactly. Now, once they've layered the money enough, they start looking for ways to inject it back into the legitimate economy, and that's where those casinos come in.
Ah, I see. But how does that work? How do you clean money by gambling?
Well, you convert the money into casino chips, gamble a bit, not too much, wouldn't want to draw attention, then you cash out. And just like that, your dirty money is clean.
Well, it's not foolproof. Casinos are heavily regulated, and there are systems in place to detect suspicious activity. But if you're careful and you know what you're doing, it can be an effective way to launder money.
Wow, that's pretty wild. But okay, so the hackers got away with the 81 million, laundered it through casinos, case closed, right? End of story.
Not quite. Remember those digital breadcrumbs we were talking about?
Right, the ones the hackers left behind.
Well, investigators followed that trail, and, well, it led them to a group, a pretty notorious group called the Lazarus Group. Cybersecurity folks, they'd been tracking these guys for a while.
So we're not talking about some kids in their basement, huh?
No, this is the big leagues. The Lazarus Group, they're sophisticated, top-notch hackers, tons of resources. They've been linked to all sorts of cyber attacks, not just banks, all over the world.
So what, like corporate espionage,
Yeah.
spying kind of stuff?
Some of that, sure. But they've also been linked to straight-up theft, extortion, even sabotage. And they don't discriminate. They've gone after governments, corporations, you name it.
Sounds like they're playing for keeps. So how did the investigators connect them to the Bangladesh bank heist?
Well, they analyzed the malware, the code the hackers used, and they found some, well, let's just say they found some unique signatures, hallmarks of the Lazarus Group's work.
It's a calling card?
Yeah, kind of. And it wasn't just the malware itself. They also looked at the tactics, the timing, the whole playbook. It all pointed back to Lazarus.
So mystery solved, they caught the hackers.
Ah, if only it were that simple. See, that's where this story takes another turn, gets even crazier. Because tracking down the hackers is one thing, but figuring out who's behind them, who's really pulling the strings, that's the real challenge.
Okay, so who was it? Who was behind the Lazarus Group? Don't keep me in suspense here.
Well, all signs pointed to North Korea.
North Korea, seriously. The North Korea.
One and the same. It seems hard to believe, right?
Yeah, I mean, they're so isolated. And their technology, I figured.
That's what most people think. But the truth is, they've been investing heavily in their cyber capabilities for years.
Huh. Learn something new every day. But why would North Korea, of all places, be interested in stealing money from a bank in Bangladesh?
Well, that's the million-dollar question, or should I say the $81 million question. But the prevailing theory is sanctions.
Right. North Korea is under all those international sanctions.
Exactly. Those sanctions, they've crippled their economy. So they're looking for ways to generate hard currency, money they can use on the international market. And cybercrime, well, it's a pretty lucrative option.
Makes you wonder who else might be out there, right? What other countries might be dabbling in a little cybercrime on the side?
That's a conversation for another day, perhaps. But it's definitely something to think about.
No kidding. Well, that about wraps up our deep dive into the Bangladesh bank heist. Pretty wild ride, right?
It certainly is. A story full of twists and turns, and one that has major implications for cybersecurity in the 21st century.
Absolutely. Well, that's all the time we have for today. Big thanks to you. This was fascinating. And to everyone listening, thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Be sure to check back for more. We're always uncovering new and interesting stories. Until next time.